Merry Meet, Annie here. Welcome back to the Flow of the Rite series. This video is about reaving. You have constructed your temple in that you've cleared the space you're going to hold your ritual, whether it's inside or out, and then you have, with thought and reverently, organized your altar, placed things where they need to be, gone through your ritual to see if you have everything in their logical place. And now it's time for reaving. The word reave, if you look it up, it's kind of a nasty word. I am using it because it is what I was told this part of the construction of the temple is called. You may think of it as using your besom to clean the space, to move the air, to further declare that the space you are setting aside is outside of the mundane. The word reaving really has a violent history. It has to do with marauders entering villages or attacking and defeating, and the terrible things they then do to the villagers and the land and the crops and just everything that they storm over after they're victorious. The reason this part of constructing the temple is called reaving is because the act of brooming, this is with your besom, is literally taking apart, rendering asunder the very air, the very energy of the room or the space outside that you're going to be holding your energy. So think of it as reaving, if you will, and the power of thinking of it as reaving is the power of truly disassembling something, taking it apart. And in a gentler, kinder description, you may consider it brooming. You're going to be using your besom, whatever you have set aside as your sacred broom. The broom will never touch the ground. You're going to see a lot of examples of how to reave or how to broom to prepare sacred space. Almost everyone knows better than to let the broom touch the ground, so you'll see that in common with most practitioners. However, the way it's done is going to be different from person to person, and I suggest you play with a couple of different styles and see what it is like for you. I use, for reaving, my short broom. It's a hearth broom. It's only like 36 inches long, and it fits comfortably the length of my arm with the broom itself nestled in my hand. I move it through the air. And the visualization I'm giving this while I'm doing it is truly that I feel the air moving, rearranging, and resettling. That is one of the reasons why I like to light incense when I'm constructing the temple. Literally then I have smoke, which I can physically see move as I move my broom around. Play with different ways to do this. We all have different ways we like to do it. I like to start with the broom almost over my head, extended, almost upright. And I think of myself as I'd like to think, graceful and slow tornado. I turn the broom around over my head, widening it, bringing out around the room. I become like a very dainty, spinning dervish. Because I'm not going to reave in the sense of destructing that air around me and creating a breeze by moving it around, but I am going to, with my mind and with my spiritual intent, feel my broom moving through the air. Know that I am settling out of that air. The energies of the here and now, the energies of this place, the energies of the room, making the air itself feel different than the air outside the space. If I'm outside, make it slightly different than the natural land around me. Air within air, its own pocket of peace within the greater peace. And in the house especially, I find this a very important thing to do. Yes, as much for the benefit of my own mind as anything that I specifically create by doing this. However, if you do this as a repeating practice, repeating again and again and again, as a repeating practice, your mind is declaring that within this very mundane world that you have surrounding the space you're going to have your ritual, you have declared that this area is different from. Just for now, by the act of reiving, by brooming. You decide what works for you in the way of motion. How does it feel for you? It should feel something for you. It should not be an empty motion. Some people have particular chants, poems, statements they say while they're doing it. This particular part of the ritual, for all the fact my rituals are mouthy, is a quiet one. Because truly, as I move the broom through the air, I'm very conscious of the fact that the air itself exists as a reality, as a thing, as a tangible thing. Moving my broom through it, reiving it, separating it from what it was, and letting that what it was literally fall to the ground as my mind's eye sees it, and leaving the space fresh for a new start. If you don't have a broom, or the broom doesn't hold particular value to you as a symbol, you might do this with an incense stick, letting the smoke move. Usually when you do it with an incense stick, it helps to work from the ground up as the smoke is rising. Or with a broom, it really works wonderfully to start up and work down. Give it a try. See how it feels. But know while you're doing it, you're addressing the very breath of the space you're going to be working in. What I like to do when I'm done at this point is extinguish whatever incense was the one I used during the process of building the temple and reiving. Leave some source of light lit. If it's going to be your working candle, if it's actually going to be a candle, do I really have to tell you to make sure that you have it set in such a way there is absolutely no danger of it catching anything on fire, or a pet or a child coming into the room and tipping it or causing a problem with it when you leave the room? If you have to leave on some other kind of light for safety's sake, leave yourself one light source lit to come back into the room by. You shouldn't be coming back into a bright and shiny lit room if you're doing a ritual at night. Obviously, if you're doing a ritual outdoors and you're stepping away, you're not going to want to leave something lit. You'll bring fire in with you when you return. What I like to do, leaving that space if it's set aside outside or if it's a room in my house, is the last step that I do is I lay my besom at whatever I'm going to consider to be the portal when I return to the space. The edge of my circle outside. Since I cast circle to the walls inside, it's going to be laid whatever's convenient to the inside of the door, so that when I open the door I can close it behind me and then step over my broom into the space I have already declared will be set aside. Constructing the temple, cleaning the space, reverently setting out what you need and going over everything to make sure it's where it needs to be. Dedicating the space with music or incense, something that you're going to repeat each time, and then brooming, reiving your space. Laying your broom down as a portal, stepping aside, laying your broom down, knowing that that is the portal you're going to return to. Step away from the ritual site. We're next going to address purification of yourself. Until then, a merry part, and I wish you mirth and reverence.